Morning, guys. Happy Monday. Coach Heather here at Kincardine Fit Body Boot Camp. So every Monday we do these nutrition talks. We talk about different topics that our campers want to know about or that are just circulating around there. Today we're going to talk about why we should be looking at losing weight if we are overweight, significant reasons to lose weight, and some that aren't always talked about, some that aren't as common, besides the scary statistics that people throw at us or the simple vanity of looking better. So some other good reasons to lose that extra weight that we're carrying around. Before I get to that, just a couple quick reminders. For our campers here at boot camp, tomorrow is Tacky Tuesday. So that means that the stuff that is hiding in the bottom of the drawer that rarely sees daylight because it just doesn't have anything to go with, it gets to come out of the drawer tomorrow and come to boot camp for a workout. So Tacky Tuesday, tackier the better. So get those things that we don't always wear and bring them out. The more mismatched, the better. So come on out, Tacky Tuesday tomorrow. Other things we have going on is we're going to put our poll up later this week. We have Flashback Friday happening next Friday. So that's the last Friday of every month. So I'm going to put the poll up, and I'm going to do a brief description of the workouts as well so that you guys can choose which one you want to bring back and do again next Friday. That one that you loved extra much and you want to do again. So that's next Friday. Also, quick shout out. Yesterday there was the hike for hospice at the Davison Center. So we were lucky enough to be invited to go and do the warm up there before the hike. So just a shout out, a big congratulations. The crew there at Hike for Hospice, they raised over $12,000 yesterday. So congratulations, guys. So good to see such a great turnout. A lot of old adults, little kids, everybody out there. So fantastic, and thank you again for inviting us to do that warm up yesterday. All right, so let's get down to business. Why we should be losing weight. Let's start at reason number 5. So reason number 5 is that your knees and your elbows are going to thank you. So osteoarthritis, that's a degenerative joint disease in which we lose cartilage, and it's going to gradually destroy the bones of our joints. So if you imagine like two rocks grinding together, you get the idea of how much fun that would be, right? So that's basically what's going on when we get osteoarthritis in the joints. Healthy people don't usually think about it too much because it's not as common. Aging makes it more likely. And we think it's normal. So it hides the degree to which it can be very unpleasant and debilitating. Like most chronic diseases or illnesses, osteoarthritis is a vicious cycle. So what happens is basically you're going to hurt your joints. You move less. Moving less means that our joints don't get loaded. Less joint loading means muscle weakness. Muscle weakness then means force doesn't get cushioned correctly. Less cushion means the condition worsens. More osteoarthritis means more pain. So it is a vicious cycle. More pain is going to lead to less movement, and the cycle is going to continue and continue. So the point, obesity makes it much more likely that you will get arthritis. That's the bottom line, guys. So in one study, they compared heavier patients to lighter patients. The chance of being diagnosed with osteoarthritis in one knee was more than 6 times greater for those in the heavier group. To be diagnosed with osteoarthritis in both knees was almost 18 times greater in those studies with heavier patients than the lighter patients. So being heavier is going to increase that likelihood of getting osteoarthritis in the knees. Naturally, there's been several different studies. Some results are higher, some results are less, but that is ballpark. Bottom line, though, is that heavier patients do result in higher times being diagnosed with osteoarthritis. The association between body fat and osteoarthritis has been replicated several times in several studies. The reason is a little bit more complicated than just being overweight is going to lead to osteoarthritis. It isn't just that heavier people put more weight on their joints, and those joints then are going to degrade over time. There also seems to be a relationship between the presence of excess fat tissue and inflammation. So osteoarthritis probably comes from the combination of excess joint loading plus the inflammatory chemical and hormonal environment that having too much body fat creates in the body. So bottom line with all of that is that one important reason to lose weight is to reduce joint pain and improve your movement. These are things that you're going to benefit from almost immediately when you lose that weight. So moving on to number 4, you will get a good night's sleep. So think of what happens when a rock blocks a rock slide. And that's what we're thinking about in terms of sleep apnea. So what happens with sleep apnea is that the upper airway collapses while you sleep, cutting off oxygen to that tunnel. Sleep apnea means you stop breathing. So it's over and over and over again as you sleep, which is bad. More body fat means more potential for sleep apnea. This comes from a few combined factors. One being that the fat in your airway narrows the space available for that air to pass through. This makes it more prone to collapsing as well. Fat in the upper body puts weight on your lungs and reduces the space available. You need more oxygen, but you can't get it. Also, fat, a hormone-producing organ, changes your hormonal signals. So this is going to rewire your respiratory system as well. So while around 25% of adults have sleep apnea, 50% of obese adults have it. So even more scary is if you have a mild sleep apnea, your chances of getting severe sleep apnea when you're overweight. So I'll throw you a few numbers regarding that. So for example, if you have a case of mild sleep apnea and you put on 5% of your body weight, you're going to have a 250% increase of severe sleep apnea. If you gain 10% of your body weight, we're looking at 650% increase of severe sleep apnea. If you were to gain 20% of your body weight, your chances then of going into severe sleep apnea are 3,700 times more likely. And this is especially scary for children. So 40% of obese children have sleep apnea. And it typically is not occurring in children. So typically you see about 3%, but it jumps up to 46% in obese children. So why is sleep apnea particularly bad? Sleep is a major regulator of our metabolism. So if our sleep is bad, so is our metabolic health. So we want to get as much sleep as we can, as much as we required. This means things like elevated inflammation, rapid cell aging and oxidation, and hormonal disruption. Higher risk of all kinds of nasty chronic diseases in the long term. So we do need that sleep, and if we're not getting it because we're overweight, then of course that's a great reason to lose that weight. Not only does it help regulate metabolism, hormone systems, and more, it helps you feel, think, and live better right away. So losing that extra bit of weight is also going to help you sleep better. Oh, we've got time. All right, reason number 3, you will actually start to taste your food. It may sound weird, yes, but it seems that people who struggle with their weight don't taste food as well. People who often eat more can't taste as well. So we're not exactly sure why, but we don't know if it is excess body fat changing taste buds or whether it's taste changes because your appetite changes and can cause the weight gain. But they did find that wanting taste, seeking, craving the reward of taste was more, a little slippery there, more associated with people that were overweight, and that the liking taste, actually enjoying the food, was more prevalent with people that were in that healthy weight range. So there's things like chemical signaling, how taste is created in the mouth and interpreted by the brain. This can be altered by those hormones as well that are produced by having excess fat in the body. So there does seem to be a relationship between excess body fat, wanting and liking fat, sweets, and pleasant tastes in the body, and eating fat, sweetie foods, things like that, and avoiding unpleasant tastes. So how might this happen? They've had a few studies done with animals, and since they seem to control their food intake, they don't seem to care much about food advertising, right? So we've looked at how media can influence as well. But they don't have a lot of distinct facts, but it is kind of interesting to see that there seems to be a correlation between being overweight and how much you're actually tasting that food, or if it's just psychological, if you're satisfying a need. So another good reason to lose that extra weight is that you'll actually enjoy your food more, is bottom line there. Obese people have altered taste perceptions, leading to eating more and eating more of the wrong foods. By losing that weight, you'll end up craving less high sugar foods and high fat foods, and you might even enjoy your vegetables. So reason number 2, your immune system will work properly again. We tend to think of body fat like an ATM, a place where we deposit and withdraw energy, but it's not. Fat is an active endocrine organ. That means it secretes hormones and cell signaling molecules. So hormones hormones have effect throughout the body. They talk to each other chemically, and balance is important for that. If we have a healthy amount of fat, our hormones and signals can work properly. If we have too much, things don't always go right. So for example, if we have too much body fat, our immune system can get off kilter. That can lead to a huge scary pile of things. Increased body mass and more body fat are associated with greater risks of several kinds of infections, including gum infections, nose and sinus, stomach infections, herpes, the mouth kind. And why? Too much adipose tissue or too much fat tissue can release large amounts of immune chemicals. Over time, this chronic exposure can interfere with the body's ability to spot and stop actual outside infections. So the bottom line there, in terms of how it's going to help promote the immune system, is that losing body fat can mean a healthier, more responsive, more robust immune system. And that means fewer colds, fewer infections, and just healthier daily life. And reason number 1, why we should lose that extra little bit of weight: you will survive surgery and childbirth. People with a lot of body fat have a harder time intubating. So that is when they put the tube down the throat to assist in the air. So being overweight, you will have a harder time intubating. You also have a higher risk of incisional hernia post-lap. So popping open again is basically what that means. You'll have a longer operation time. You'll have a higher risk of catheter site infection. You'll have a higher rate of serious post-operative complications. So surgery is a risky business already, and being obese is going to make that even more riskier. It's a double whammy because people who struggle with obesity also struggle with more health issues that may require more surgeries. So obese people may need surgery but not be able to get it or not recover as well if they do get that surgery. Pregnancy is a good example of this. Among women who are significantly obese, about 50% of them must undergo cesarean sections compared to only 20% of the general population. Even if they give birth vaginally, obese women may have to have a lot of more instruments and medical procedures involved in that birth. After surgery, mothers with obesity may end up with more surgical site infections. And this is aside from other pregnancy complications, which also go up significantly as body fat increases. So bottom line there is that every surgery patient wants a safe and speedy recovery. Every mother wants a safe birth and a thriving, bouncing baby. Having a healthy range of body fat makes those happy outcomes much more likely. So we want to just have a look at our body fat measurements, our weight, and see where we are and if we're in that healthy range. So if you guys do have any questions, come on in. We can help you out with that and do some measurements for you and see where you're at. And if you do have any questions, just let us know. So campers, remember tomorrow is Tacky Tuesday. Wear those tacky outfits. And I will see everybody. If you're coming in for the nooner, I will be coaching the nooner. And if not, I will see you tomorrow morning in here. All right? Take care, guys.